weather and war, and neither topic too promising. There'd been a great battle fought out west in England, and by the murmurings it hadn't gone off well. A Republic army of 20,000, bolstered by several hundred mercenary bands, had been slaughtered by a Heartwyld horde. Those few who'd survived had retreated to the city of Castia and were now under siege, forced to endure sickness and starvation while the enemy gorged themselves on the dead outside their walls. That, and there'd been a touch of frost on the ground this morning, which didn't seem fair this early into autumn, did it? Pip returned with 2 pints and 2 friends Clay didn't recognize, whose names he forgot just as soon as they told him. They seemed like nice enough fellas, mind you. Clay was just bad with names. "So you were in a band?" one asked. He had lanky red hair, and his face was a post-pubescent mess of freckles and swollen pimples. Clay took a long pull from his tankard before setting it down and looking over at Pip, who at least had the grace to look ashamed. Then he nodded. The two stole a glance at each other, and then Freckles leaned in across the table. "Pip says you guys held Cold Fire Pass for 3 days against 1,000 walking dead." "I only counted 999, Clay corrected. "But pretty much, yeah." "He says you slew Akatung the Dread," said the other, whose attempt to grow a beard had produced a wisp of hair most grandmothers would scoff at. Clay took another drink and shook his head. "We only injured him. I hear he died back at his lair, though. Peacefully. In his sleep." They looked disappointed, but then Pip nudged one with his elbow. "Ask him about the siege of Hollow Hill." "Hollow Hill?" murmured Wispy. Then his eyes went round as court-marked coins. "Wait, the siege of Hollow Hill? So, the band you were in..." "Saga," Freckles finished, clearly awestruck. "You were in Saga?" "It's been a while," said Clay, picking at a knot in the warped wood of the table before him. "The name sounds familiar, though." "Wow," sighed Freckles. "You gotta be kidding me," Wispy uttered. "Just wow," said Freckles again. "You gotta be kidding me," Wispy repeated, not one to be outdone when it came to re-expressing disbelief. Clay said nothing in response, only sipped his beer and shrugged. "So you know Golden Gabe?" Freckles asked. Another shrug. "I know Gabriel, yeah." "Gabriel!" trilled Pip, sloshing his drink as he raised his hands in wonderment. "Gabriel, he says. Classic." "And Gamelon?" Wispy asked. "And Arcandius Moog? And Matrix Skulldrummer? Oh, and..." Freckles screwed up his face as he racked his brain, which didn't do the poor bastard any favors, Clay decided. He was ugly as a rain cloud on a wedding day, that one. "Who are we forgetting?" "Clay Cooper." Wispy stroked the fine hairs on his chin as he pondered this. "Clay Cooper? Oh," he said, looking abashed. "Right." It took Freckles another moment to piece it together, but then he palmed his pale forehead and laughed. "Gods, I'm stupid." "The gods already know," thought Clay. Sensing the awkwardness at hand, Pip chimed in. "Tell us a tale, will you, Clay? About when you did for that necromancer up in Oddsford? Or when you rescued that princess from that place, remember?" Which one? Clay wondered. They'd rescued several princesses, in fact. And if he'd killed one necromancer, he'd killed a dozen. Who kept track of shit like that? Didn't matter anyway, since he wasn't in the mood for storytelling. Or to go digging up what he'd worked so hard to bury, and then harder still to forget where he'd dug the hole in the first place. "Sorry, kid," he told Pip, draining what remained of his beer. "That's one." He excused himself, handing Pip a few coppers for the drink and bidding what he hoped was a last farewell.